Welcome back to Palia, friends. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys an insane money-making strategy that does involve cooking. So now, for today's strategy, I'm going to be talking about a couple of recipes that you have to have unlocked. The very first one is the Aquawindu Chapa, the second one is the Blueberry Pie, the third one is the Apple Pie, and the fourth and final one is the Celebration Cake. Now, when it comes to most cooking groups, as of right now in the game, a lot of people are leaning in towards the Aquawindu Chapa, the Blueberry Pie, and the Apple Pie, because the effort is simply nowhere near as much involved as something like the Celebration Cake. The Celebration Cake takes a lot of coordination, where the other ones are just simply show up. If you got some of the ingredients, you can participate, and it's pretty much easy peasy. The Celebration Cake takes a lot more strategy, a lot more communication and coordination in order for you to pull it off efficiently. But just note, the Celebration Cake currently at the state of the open beta is the best recipe right now to net a megaton of gold. I honestly like to think that these mass cooking parties are really similar to like raids and other MMORPGs, where these can consist of like a total of 5 individual players cooking a single recipe, all the way up to a mass 25, which is literally the max number that you can have on a given server currently in the game. Now, obviously, for this method and strategy to work, you're gonna need extra people, because doing all of this solo really cuts down in on the time, and it makes it a lot less efficient compared to other gold farming strategies in the game. Now, additionally speaking, when it comes to people here, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. That one, you need to pair up with players in Palia for cooking, and everybody needs to separate out into different roles and only has to use one ingredient that is going to be required for that specific recipe. By only providing one individual ingredient, this allows you as the player to save on all the other ingredients and still participate in the recipe and still get the full yield. Additionally, it's worth mentioning that the larger amount of people you have joining in on your cooking session, the more delegation that has to go on as far as which order of which role goes first, especially if the recipe is a little bit more complicated. And this is actually a huge tip, because right now at the current state of the beta, there is a little slight bug that can actually happen if 2 people decide to do the exact same task at the exact same time. You might end up with more ingredients than what the recipe requires, and when the recipe is officially done, well, then those ingredients are just purely lost to the void. So you definitely don't want that happening. Instead, you want to make sure you are delegating out the task, make sure everybody knows exactly what their role is and when exactly to go, to make sure that you are doing it efficiently. And it's also important to mention that if you have more people than there are ingredients for a specific recipe, well, then you will ultimately have to assign dead roles to those extra people. These dead roles will usually be the cheapest part, things like spice sprouts or things like sweet leaves. And it's unfortunate, because the items that these people are chopping up, things like the spice sprouts, for instance, or something like mixing the sweet leaves, these items aren't going to actually get used, and they will ultimately just be thrown into the void. But they do have to actively participate in a specific recipe to get the yield. And this is the only way that we have found it possible to have a group of, let's say, 25 people for a recipe that only calls for 5 ingredients. Alrighty, so then diving into the 4 different meals that I have for you guys, we have the Aquawindu Chapa, the Blueberry Pie, the Apple Pie, and the Celebration Cake. When it comes to these ingredients, most of these can be purchased at the general store. However, there are some outliers, things like sweet leaves, which you can find in the forest in the north region of Bahari Bay. Blueberries you get at level 10 gardening by purchasing blueberry seeds with the skill medals that you earn from reaching level 10. And then last but not least, we have the apples, which unfortunately is the hardest ingredient to get, because it does require you to hit rank 3 relationship with either Ziki or Nayo. I will state here, though, there is a possibility that you can get your hands on apples a lot sooner in the game, but it's really based on luck and RNG, because you do have the probability to get yourself an apple seed directly from the lucky machine provided by Ziki inside of the general store. But if you guys have ever tried out that machine, it is pure RNG, and the luck is not necessarily on your side. Alrighty, so then now circling back around to the first 4 recipes that I talked about, and that first one is the Aquawindu Chapa. Now, in order for you to unlock this recipe, it does take a little bit of physical work on your part. We actually are going to head over to Bahari Bay, and we have to collect 3 individual pages. Once we collect all 3 pages, it will then assemble the recipe and allow you to officially cook it. And the very first page you'll find far east in Bahari Bay at this little campsite. You're going to walk up to this little here, and then once you engage with this piece of paper down on the ground, you can read it if you would like, but that's going to pretty much start the quest line that we need. Now we just need to collect the next 2 pages. Now, for the second page, we're literally going to turn around, face the little water, little river inlet here, and you see the little island right there. If we go ahead and glide across across and down here to where this rock is, you'll see we find the second page. And then the third and final page will bring us across the river. We're just going to continue following the river with the on our left-hand side. And then when we come up to this first big set of rocks, here is the third and final page for you to get your recipe. Next, you have the blueberry pie and the celebration cake. Both of these recipes can be purchased from Reth once you hit a certain rank. Very easily here, just continue talking to him, giving him gifts. Once you officially hit that rank, you'll be able to access his store and then buy the recipes from there to craft the blueberry pie and the celebration cake. And then last but not least, we have the Holy Grail apple pie recipe, and this one is going to be given to you by Delilah. Unfortunately, you do have to hit rank 3 relationship with her. She will then give you a quest, which then will give you a key to her room. Once you go to her room, you'll be able to acquire the recipe from there, and then at this point in time, you'll be able to officially make apple pies. And that, my friends, wraps up our video for today. Like I said, man, sticking to making these 4 recipes in bulk for a couple of hours, you and all of your friends, you will all be able to net some insane amounts of gold really fast. So you guys let me know what your thoughts are down below. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe here on the channel for everything Palia related. And with that being said, as always, guys, I'll see you on the next one.